Friday for the Browns against the Panthers. Sanders has spent most of the week with the fourth-string team ahead of their first preseason game. Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski confirming this week that he would be getting the start and told reporters how much he's expected to play tomorrow night.
You're going to work through that. Again, it's Shedeur and Snoop will be the quarterbacks that are playing in this game, and Snoop just got off the airplane yesterday, so catch him up. My expectations for Shedeur are no different than the rest of the guys, honestly, Mary Kay. We expect them to go operate. It's when you get in these preseason games, you try to keep it very simple so that guys can play fast. All concepts that our players know and can kind of not think too much and just play ball.
All right, we bring back Danny Cannell, and we've got John Breach as well. So let's first start with our quarterback. DK, what are we making of Shedeur Sanders making his pro debut? He is QB1, but just for this first preseason game.
I think, Tommy, this is a great opportunity for him. And it's driving me kind of crazy because I'm seeing a lot of people upset. Like the same people that were saying he should have been a first rounder are now upset that he's starting a preseason game because he doesn't have enough reps. This is the NFL. It isn't Pee Wee football. Like, life's not always fair. And when an opportunity presents itself like this, you've got to take advantage of it. The crazy thing is I think Shedeur might actually do that. The one key thing, and I said this yesterday when I was on the show, like, Kevin Stefanski, what he's saying is 100% true. This is going to be the most basic, easy offensive playbook that Shedeur will ever experience in his time in the NFL. That's what week one in the preseason is all about. You're trying to evaluate players so you keep the schemes very easy, very simple concepts that he's probably run throughout his life playing football. And even more importantly, what the Panthers are going to do defensively is the same. They're not going to throw a lot of exotic blitzes at him because they don't want to put anything on film for their opponents down the season. So they're evaluating players as well. And he's probably going to get to play, from the sound of it, probably an entire first half. So you can get into a flow in the rhythm of the game. So I think this is a great opportunity for Shedeur to go out there and try to turn some heads in that Brown staff and in the front office.
It's interesting because you have this quarterback competition with four people, and if anyone's wondering where that competition is right now, we just heard Kevin Stefanski. It is Shedeur Sanders playing and a dude who just got off the airplane yesterday. That is where they are. So yes, as Danny said, this is a huge opportunity for Shedeur Sanders. It doesn't matter how it happened. The reps don't matter. What matters is that it is going to happen. I know Danny just mentioned the Panthers defense is going to look pretty vanilla, but if there's one thing that maybe puts Sanders at a slight disadvantage, is the fact that the Panthers are expected to play their starters on Friday night. Dave Canales has said their starters are going to be in there. The Browns are not going to be playing a lot of their starters. So you're going to look at Shedeur Sanders leading this second team or this third team against the Panthers starters, which obviously makes it much more challenging. But the bottom line is he is going to be on the football field. He is going to have a chance to prove that he deserves a shot at this starting job, and that's what it boils down to. It doesn't matter who you're throwing the ball to, it's can you get the ball to him. So I think that this is a big chance for Shedeur Sanders, and if he takes advantage of it, who knows what happens after this first week of the preseason.
So taking advantage of an opportunity is one thing, but then there's a conversation about whether he can then go all the way to the top of the depth chart, right? And of course, Deshaun Watson continues to be on the mend with an Achilles. So it's Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dillon Gabriel, and technically Shedeur Sanders. So Dan, again, I'm going to come to you because you've been through many camps and you know how these things work, though. Like, what's truly a ceiling for Shedeur, barring any injury here?
So I think Flacco is going to be the starter week one. I know there's been some trendy opinions about Kenny Pickett that maybe he was going to supplant him, but just traditionally, coaches are going to go with the guy that they kind of know the floor. Like, and with Flacco, I think the floor is not that far from the ceiling, unfortunately. Like, you know exactly what you're getting with a 40-year-old quarterback. Like, he's going to be able to manage the offense. He's not going to make a lot of boneheaded plays. You get some leadership and somebody who's comfortable learning the entire playbook, not just a little bit of it. But here's the good news. I don't know if Flacco is going to be the starter the entire season, and Shedeur could position himself to beat out both Dillon Gabriel and Kenny Pickett if he does show some signs of promise in this preseason game. And if it becomes an extended period of time, then all of a sudden he could vault right into that position right behind Joe Flacco. I think that's the ceiling for the preseason for Shedeur, but that could be a great opportunity. That's why I think this team was actually, I know he didn't want to get drafted where he did, but it's as wide open a quarterback room as you've got in the NFL, where a lot of these teams have entrenched starters or guys that they paid a ton of money to, and you've got an opportunity to potentially get that opportunity, that look in your rookie season as a fifth-round pick. I think that's pretty attractive for Shedeur.
All right, let's get to some other changes here. We know Nick Chubb's no longer there in Cleveland. So, John, when we take a look at Quinshon Judkins, how much does his legal situation play a part in how that backfield is going to play out?
Yeah, well, it's certainly interesting because the Browns were looking to revamp their running back room. We saw that they let Nick Chubb go, a franchise legend. And when you look at who they have, it's Jerome Ford. And the Browns were so desperate to kind of fix things, and they went out and got 2 running backs. So it's not just Quinshon Judkins that in the 2nd round. They also got Dylan Sampson in the 4th round. So I think the Browns raised a lot of eyebrows around the league when they drafted 2 running backs in the first 4 rounds. And now somehow it has kind of worked out for them because Judkins hasn't been available due to his legal issues. And that's kind of allowed Dylan Sampson to step up here and really steal the show. He's had a pretty good training camp. He could go out there if he has an impressive preseason. He might be able to compete to be in that top running back spot, that top spot on the depth chart where Jerome Ford is right now. The Browns have been very patient with Jerome Ford. I think they would love it if he were able to kind of break through. He's shown some flashes, but he has had a little bit of trouble staying healthy. So it will be interesting to see how this plays out, but it feels like it is Jerome Ford and Dylan Sampson. And for now, both guys are playing okay. So I'm not sure the Judkins legal situation is hurting them too much, especially because the offense is just kind of a mess right now. So I'm not sure how much Judkins would help them at this stage.
Breach, James wants me to make this quick, our producer, but you kind of stole my thunder. Dylan Sampson is a stud. That was a steal in the 4th round. We've seen many backs launch into stardom that were, 3rd and 4th round picks. Dylan Sampson could be that guy. At Tennessee, led the SEC in rushing yards and touchdowns. Keep an eye on his name throughout the season.
Okay, more opportunities presenting itself out there at Browns camp. All right, let's get to the other side of things with the Panthers and Dave Canales, his 2nd year there in Carolina. And before I get your thoughts on what he plans to do in the preseason, he was talking about playing his guys this time around, something he did not do last summer.
I think a couple of series, my hope is if you get a good long first drive, we're done there. If it's a 3 and out on either side, I'd love to give them another shot. Somewhere in the, if I had a perfect number, it'd be probably 8 to 12 would be like my high hope for the group. And again, like we talked about, it starts the night before. It's the preparation. It's the morning of. It's what you eat on game day. It's the body readiness, kind of working through those nerves before the game and getting yourself into a great headspace to be able to perform.
So starters will play the first 2 preseason games. DK, is this him basically doing everything just short of saying he made a mistake last summer?
I think so. And I think it's, the NFL is a copycat league. I think this is becoming the trend. Like for a while it was, we're not going to play anybody. Our starters are going to rest. And, the Bengals are going to play Joe Burrow, who's in a completely different situation, obviously, than Bryce Young. But when you've got a young team that's trying to kind of find their way and turn this franchise around, I think this is the right move to make. There's always the fear of injury, but if you can go into the regular season potentially having an edge over your opponents because they did rest their teams, there is a ramp-up period. And a lot of times you see very sloppy play in the regular season in weeks 1 and 2 because that's when teams are kind of using their players to get into playing shape. And everything Coach Canales said there about the routine, what you eat before the game, how you show up to the stadium, those things kind of do matter. So if you can figure it out so you're fine-tuned and ready to go week 1, that could be an edge that helps them get off to a fast start that they desperately need as a franchise.
All right, let's end with what the connections in Carolina people are hoping will be big. Bryce Young and Ted McMillan breach. What are we anticipating about that matchup and that relationship?
Well, I think Danny talking here about why you play people in the preseason. And Ted McMillan, Bryce Young, this is a perfect example because you want these guys to build chemistry on the field. Yes, you can do that in training camp, but you do that much better when you're out playing full speed against another opponent. You're not playing against your own guys. And you also look at what the Panthers did offensively last season. It was not very much. They had the 3rd fewest passing yards in the NFL. So part of getting your starters out there is just getting them fired up and ready to go. So you want this team to firing on all cylinders in week 1. So I think that is what Ted McMillan and Bryce Young will be hoping for.